Great. All right, so a reminder we ask you to please keep your microphones muted throughout the presentation just to avoid any background noise. And at the end, we'll have time for a Q&A and discussion where we'll give you the floor to ask any questions. So you can write your questions here in Zoom in the Q&A or in the Google Doc, which I'm going to paste and share now in the chat. And any questions we don't get to today, we will answer directly in the Google document. So if we do end up running out of time, everything is recorded in the Google Doc. You can refer back to that for answers. So here you are, the Google Doc for that. You just put this back here. All right, so we got another more in the waiting room. So with that, let's get started. I just realized one thing. Just making my colleague Stefania co-host so you can admit anybody in the presentation. Sorry, I should have done that before. All right, so here we go. Let's get started. Oh. All right. So here we go. So the OpenAIRE Graph in 2024. So we have a couple different sections. First, we'll start with content growth. So as you can see here, the graph experienced significant content growth throughout 2024. The graph also released a new data set or data snapshot version 8.0.0 and numerous updates, wrapping up the year with version 9.0.1. And you can consult all graph versions and updates in the OpenAIRE Graph changelog. And all links mentioned here today, you can find in the Google Doc. We'll paste in the Google Doc under the Q&A section. There's useful links. We'll post all links there. And then also when we share the recording and slides of the presentation at the end of this week or early next week, all links will also be linked within the PowerPoint presentation. So yeah, as you can see here, we had a significant growth, especially in the others category. So the 203.1% increase, which is really impressive, as well as affiliations and results related to funding, as we had some new affiliation algorithms are further refined throughout the year. And a reminder also that all of this is after deduplication. So the OpenAIRE Graph does go through a deduplication process, which again just makes all these numbers just a little bit more impressive because these aren't duplicates, these are after deduplication. Collaborations. So 2024 also saw new and renewed collaborations as we continued to expand global partnerships to advance open scholarly communication. So highlights from 2024 include La Referencia. This is a collaboration to strengthen open access initiatives across Latin America. We have a collaboration with the National Science Library Chinese Academy of Sciences, which is a partnership to promote open science and expand the OpenAIRE Graph in China. The National Institute of Informatics, Japan, here we are. This is where we are collaborating to enhance research infrastructure, data sharing, and policy alignment through a new memorandum of understanding. We're also working with Scimago and OCLC, is over here, here we go, which is the Online Computer Library Center, and ETH Zurich to evaluate and enhance the quality and coverage of the OpenAIRE Graph. And then we also have a renewed partnership with EBSCO. So the renewed collaboration with EBSCO Information Services integrates OpenAIRE metadata into the EBSCO Discovery Service, improving global access to open scholarly records. All of our collaborations. Another really important collaboration throughout this past year, which was also renewed for another year. So we're excited to announce the renewal, was the National Open Access Ireland. So this launched in 2024, and it was not only significant for the OpenAIRE Graph, but also for the Irish open science landscape. So you see here, we have supporting the nation's shift towards Irish scholarly research communication output, transparency, and accessibility aimed at being 100% open access. So 100% open access, Ireland became the first country to implement a 100% open access policy. So because of this, of course, monitoring the country's research output became essential. So for this, the Irish government partnered up with OpenAIRE to create a platform using data from the OpenAIRE Graph. And this platform hosts multiple dashboards. You can see some examples here, which allow for the customization of monitoring, benchmarking, and evaluation, all in all facilitating evidence-based decisions to advance open science initiatives. And again, as we said, we're excited to announce this has been renewed for another year. And this dashboard, you can actually go, it is a public dashboard or public, I should say, it's not one specific dashboard, but the National Open Access Monitor Ireland, which is really interesting. So again, we'll link that so you can go and check out the website and all that information. Another huge milestone in 2024 was the launch of the EOSC EU node. So for the EOSC EU node, we've had the honor of being selected as the authoritative source of data. You see here for the EOSC node, which entered full production in 2024. And this launch marked a significant milestone for the whole European open science landscape, as the EOSQ node is the first node in a federation of nodes, and it provides the space that supports users at every stage of the research lifecycle, aiming at more extensive collaboration across Europe and fostering innovation throughout the entire research community. So if you go on the EOSQ EU node website, you'll see there's different services, and they're really helpful. There's bulk data sharing, file transfers, all these things to really help facilitate collaboration, interactive notebooks, and all these. Again, we'll link all of these in the presentation and the Google Doc. And if you want to learn more about the EOSQ node and what our role as its authoritative source of data actually entails, we released a podcast episode breaking down the OpenAIRE Graph, what and why. In this episode, we do dive into a little bit what this role actually means. We also further explored this role in our December community call last month. We presented a webinar for Craft OA, titled The OpenAIRE Graph and its connection with EOSC and the EOSQ node. Again, really going into how the EOSQ node pulls information from the graph. And then we also have an article on the launch. So that as well can be interesting to see more about our role. So again, all these will be linked in everything. Find all these links everywhere. Projects. So the OpenAIRE Graph continues to be involved in several projects to further open science and open scholarly communication. A lot of these are EOSC projects. They're all very interesting and definitely worth taking a look into. We are working on creating a page on the OpenAIRE Graph website, further going into these projects. So hopefully that will be released soon. Just experiencing some Joomla technical difficulties, but as soon as those are sorted out, those pages will be live, where you can go in and explore more about these projects and what our role in these projects are, because each it could be a bit different. So let's go further into our community. We have our collaborations and now our OpenAIRE Graph community, OpenAIRE community, and of course, also just the open science community. So what was really exciting this year is we had the very first OpenAIRE Graph training. So this was led by 2 experts, which means that participation was limited to 30 seats. And we're excited to say that the course was fully booked. In this training, participants learned how to get valuable information from the graph on the Google Cloud using BigQuery. And this training is the first in a series of trainings which our team is working to develop and which will be openly available to the public in 2025 on OpenPlato. And OpenPlato is the training platform where there's different courses and modules and everything from OpenAIRE. So this was exciting, and this we will also be repeating this as well. So the idea is maybe to have these annually. We'll have the course in OpenPlato, but we're exploring maybe also having a session as well. So we also released a podcast mini-series via the OpenAIRE podcast. We had a mini-series called Breaking Down the OpenAIRE Graph, and we had 5 different episodes. Going behind the scenes, what and why, the graph view and discovery, the graph view and bibliometrics, the graph view and open science monitoring. So these were the aim of this podcast mini-series was to give an even better understanding of the graph and how it's made, its purpose, and how users can use it to the best of their advantage. So you can find all these podcast episodes on the OpenAIRE website. Soon the OpenAIRE Graph website as well, once these have some bugs in the website sorted out. And you can listen to them via Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And I do really encourage giving a listen to these because, we have a lot of webinars and articles and things, but sometimes it can be also just give a better understanding to listen through to a discussion going back and forth and to give a different understanding. So even if you may have seen some presentations on these topics, it might be interesting to go through and listen, just as maybe you'll hear some different information as it's a discussion of other things come up. So our community calls. So 2024 also saw the launch of our OpenAIRE Graph Community Call series. So here we have the list of all the community calls we held throughout 2024. We have them once a month, excluding July and August, as most people are on vacation, so there's not much participation. And we want to make sure you don't miss out on any really interesting topics. So we had all of these throughout 2024, and we do want to hear your feedback. What else would you like to see? Was there a topic maybe you would like us to dive further into, something not mentioned yet? Because we are preparing, of course, the community calls for 2025, and having your feedback is really invaluable for us because we want to make sure the point of these community calls is for the community. What do you want to know? What do you want to expand on, further clarification on? So we do encourage you to please let us know. You can let us know again here in the chat, in the Zoom Q&A, even in the Google Doc. We have lots of channels for communication, which leads me on to our next slide. Community engagement. So in 2024, we also, aside from the community calls, we also launched the new OpenAIRE Graph website, Twitter, and user forum. So these are all channels where you can talk with us, with the team. We really encourage you to use the user forum. We would like to get participation in that up because it's a really great opportunity to not have a discourse dialogue, conversation between you and the Graph team, which of course we're always happy to discuss, but also between yourselves, each other in the community, because could be really good to hear some tips, tricks, and all these things. So the user forum is really for users in the community to interact and ask questions, share tips, and we are monitoring the user forum. So we of course are answering those questions as well, but it really is the opportunity for everybody to get together. So we have our user forum, our new website, which went live in February of this past year. On the website, you can find our help desk, link to the user forum, all of our past community calls, news, all these things, the documentation as well. So we do encourage you, if you haven't yet, to go through and check out the new website. Of course, we did have a website before, but this new website has a lot more information. And the OpenAIRE Graph Twitter. So the Twitter is really great to follow the Twitter to be the first to know of any updates, developments, anything going on. Because we do have a lot going on, and we can't write an article every 2 weeks for something going on because ends up not being that interesting. So of course, just make sure you follow to keep up to date. And on that note as well, this month, we are expanding our communication channels to also Mastodon and Blue Sky, because we see a lot of people in the scientific community leaving Twitter, and we want to make sure that we still have a communication channel with everyone. So these accounts were brand new, freshly created. So encourage you to go and follow them, but there's not any content on them yet because we just created them, and we'll start promoting their presence and making posts from next week. So this will really allow us to engage with our community even more, which we're really excited about, fostering more discussions around open science, innovation, collaboration. Yeah, so again, we encourage you, if you have these, to go and follow us there to stay up to date for news, developments, and also just to open another communication channel between us if you have any feedback. And some technical milestones from 2024. So 2024, we saw the beta testing of the new OpenAIRE API. The beta testing phase took place over the summer, so between July and August of 2024. And this was really crucial, where we received really invaluable feedback on the API under development. So we have the indicative new functionalities of the new API. So here we have just the kind of general overview, but to learn more about what's to come in the beta testing phase, we encourage you to go back and watch or rewatch the October community call, where we unveiled the new API and also went over the beta testing feedback, which was really interesting. And then we also released an article for the open call to beta testers, which had some more information on these points. One thing to note in the beta testing phase, these last 2 points, the cursor pagination and relationships retrieval, these weren't live or developed yet for the beta testing. So these 2 points did not go through the beta testing, but you can expect to see them in the new API to be released very soon. So again, stay up to date, follow our channels, yeah, because those will be going soon. Going live soon. Like that. In 2024, we also had the integration of field of science and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal indicators into the OpenAIRE infrastructure. So these were really, really important because, especially for the SDGs, policy makers need this to classify research according to the SDGs. So these are great for monitoring, evaluation, policymaking, all these things. And then also for the field of science classification. So this is based on a 3-level hierarchy taxonomy. So you have those 3 different fields, the overall, under, and then very specific subfields. So these are also really important for policymakers, funders, publishers, scholars, companies to classify, their outputs and everything. For organizations, search engines, again, monitoring, evaluation of trends, identifications of new fields, evaluation for funding allocation, weak spots, opportunities, etc. Those, and then we do have an article fully going more into especially the SDG indicators, which can be very interesting. So again, that will be linked here as well. And thank you. So again, here you can also see the Twitter, Mastodon, Blue Sky. These are all have the same exact handle at OpenAIRE Graph, no underscore. And then we released an article last week as well on the 2024 year recap. So for more information on everything that happened throughout the year, we encourage you to go and consult the article because that has lots of more detail and is really interesting. So I'll stop that there and we'll open the floor to questions, comments, feedback.
Hey, thank you, Alana. This was really nice to see in one presentation all the work we've done in 2024. Quite exciting for us that contributed to see everything all together. So we can open the room for you. This is an informal setting. If you don't wish to be recorded, just let us know when you ask your questions, and we will remove this part from the before uploading the video on YouTube. Anyone? Also, if you have specific feedback on the community calls, we would be interested to know.
Yeah, and also feedback, and if you can't, maybe you had some feedback, but related to something else, just anything. I mean, this is everything we've done in the last year. Feedback, what would you like to see next year? What I think we should expand on?
Yes, Teresa. Hi. Morning, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, it's a bit overwhelming. I'm quite new to OpenAIRE Graph and all those things. What I would like to ask, you mentioned you collaborate with EBSCO. Could you possibly tell a bit more about it? I know at our library, it's a system that is used very much. And so from a library perspective, what might that gain? Or is that now too specific?
Oh, it's not too specific. So regarding the specific collaboration with EBSCO, I don't think we have the colleagues here that are involved in this. So unfortunately, we cannot tell you the details of what is happening there, but we can let you know certainly, because OpenAIRE is a big group, so we have team dedicated to each of these collaborations. In general, with libraries, we had a very nice community call on what was the relationship between the OpenAIRE Graph and libraries. That was the one. I can find it and link you the presentation here. In general, that is focused on the well, first of all, on the knowledge that libraries have of their own, librarians have of their own, I mean, researchers, and the curation that they can provide for the OpenAIRE Graph. We have a very a big part of our work is dedicated to the deduplication of the data of the research products that we include in that, and we have different channels to make this possible. One is the curation of the affiliation. Of the affiliations, and we have the OpenORGs team that work with librarians from different institutions, from different countries, to make sure that the affiliation are curated, and this is to make sure that the quality of the affiliation that we have reflects the reality of your organization. And also for the curation of the data themselves. So you can curate your own subgraph or your own community. If you represent an organization, a community, you can curate the part of the graph that collects all the data there. This is a really almost one-to-one relationship of the organization with the OpenAIRE Graph. And I understand that these are many, this is lots of information. I can, yes, invite you to have a look at the article. Thank you, Elena, for sharing the link. And yeah.
And we have Claudio said he may be able to also expand a little further, maybe on the collaboration.
Hello, hi everyone, good morning. I think I can at least partially respond to the question from Teresa. EBSCO, as far as I know, integrated the data from the OpenAIRE Graph on their own premises to the aim of enriching the contents that they have. So I know the integration is based on one or some of the positions that OpenAIRE publishes on Zenodo. And I know they update the content on their end once every now and then. So it's a quite loosen kind of integration of the data. So they have some procedures to integrate the content on their end, but I don't know the details, how this work or which kind of data assets are they mostly interested in. But the final scope, the final aim is metadata enrichment.
Yeah, well, thank you so very much. So I'm very grateful for that. Now, the reason why I mentioned EBSCO is because it is something that librarians know. They work with it, they recognize it. That is something where one can start to talk about, also about OpenAIRE Graph, because that is not always present in the world of a librarian. We have people who have quite a traditional view on libraries. Basically, a library is books on a shelf, and then it's very difficult to talk about scientific knowledge graphs. So that was a bit the background why I'm interested about your collaboration with EBSCO. Thank you so much for sharing the links. I will look at them. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Teresa. We did have a question from the registration form, I realize. So I don't know if the person who asked the question is here, but the question was, how can I improve the usability of the graph and explore service for my own data and publications at the stage of publishing? Yes, Claudio, thank you.
Yes, I think I can answer this. It's a rather important and almost fundamental question. Essentially, this question touches on, I think, the aspect of metadata completeness and preciseness also. So the more precise and complete the metadata that describes publications is, the better in general it is for the graph. In general, the graph can be as much as good as the quality of the metadata that OpenAIRE aggregates. So this is very fundamental in setting the level for the quality of the contents. So the more complete the information is, the better in general is for the graph. So the point of reference to know the details on where to go in order to improve these aspects are the OpenAIRE guidelines that states how the information should be, which is the information expected to be there in the repositories that expose the information. So at deposition time, when researchers perform a deposition, they should take in mind that what the guidelines states to be there. So have a look. This is my take.
Claudio. Yes, can I maybe add, because when of course the ultimate goal is to ensure the quality of the metadata, and this is the way where when the OpenAIRE graph can really give the most of return the most of your research, and in connecting with relevant other relevant publications and all the entities related to your products.
I can provide some examples.
Yeah, I wanted. Okay, yes, go ahead, because I read the question from the perspective of a researcher, and yeah, but give your examples first, and then.
In order to enable, for example, monitoring of funding, publications can optionally expose a reference to the project that allowed a publication to be there. So a reference to the funding. This information is mandatory depending on the kind of the funding programs, but it's not provided mandatory in a mandatory way in all the publishing platforms. So depending on the publishing venue, this information can be there or not. But this is an important aspect, that it's thanks to this information, to the reference to the specific grants, that OpenAIRE can build the monitor service. Or another dimension, affiliations are important. And in order to precisely identify which are the research institutions connected with a given author of an article, persistent identification of the research institution is crucial. Well, OpenAIRE performed disambiguation also in that case, but it's a combined approach of algorithms and human curation that is supported a lot by the availability of persistent identifiers of organizations. And here, the ROR identifiers plays a crucial role. So this information is becoming more and more available in the scientific management systems. DataCite also has full support for this information, Zenodo as well. But we have a very vast amount legacy of metadata records that do not have this information. So the situation is improving as these initiatives are paying off in the end. The road is still long. And it's important to continue to pursue these best practices. So also I'm expecting that the OpenAIRE guidelines are going to evolve also following this path.
Maybe just to add on this, I can probably share my screen, and then we'll put the links. So this is, am I sharing? Yes?
Yes, it just hasn't loaded yet. It says that your started screen sharing is just
okay.
There, now we see.
Yes, these are the guidelines published for these are specific guidelines either for repositories, data archives, case managers, or software, etc. So the advantage of following these guidelines is that once you're there, you're sure that you're compatible, it's interoperable, your data interoperable enough to be part of the OpenAIRE graph, and interoperable with the services that we offer. And something else that I wanted to show, this is the Explore portal. The Explore portal is the way you can access and navigate through the content of the OpenAIRE graph. And if you go on data sources. So this is the main, this is explore.openair. And the data sources, you can navigate here. Filtering by and look for the repositories that that can be relevant for your countries, for your language, etc. And you can also browse by according to the compatibility levels. And check what are, for example, for publications, the ones that are compatible with the latest, the most updated guidelines. Yeah, so that's an example of how you can check, I mean, from the point of view of a researcher that need to submit or to deposit a publication in a given repository. You can check the status of it in Explore. I'll link all of these, and yeah, I see there. Okay, sorry, I think okay, I saw in the chat you included this. Thank you. For example, if we take one of these, okay, I'm taking just the first one that has the best compatibility level. Okay, but that's not much. Okay, for example, this one from University of Salerno, and then the publications are these are all the publications and research data software and other products that are provided. I mean, that harvest through this repository, and I don't know. I don't wanna. Sorry, I have many pages open. No, I don't want to show this, but I'm sorry, my desktop is doing something all by its own. If we sort on expectations. I think I have too many windows open. But yeah, I wanted to show how it looked like a publication in one of such repositories. Let's see if I manage. But it seems. Oh yes, I made it. Okay, so this is a study. Let's see. Okay. So here you see all the information that are included in the graph, and in this case, this is one publication, but we have 111 versions of it, and these are all merged into this one. Maybe, okay, merged is not the right term. Maybe Claudio, you can correct me, but the point is that we are not counting these 100 times, and we're providing all the persistent identifiers linked to these publications, the identifiers also related to the authors when available, and the information about the status of publication, the access green access or hybrid. The indicators related to the publications that go beyond just counting the citation. We also have other indicators. The field of science, funding information also are present. And this is what Claudio mentioned in the example that Claudio made for the being able to provide funding and grant informations that are useful for the assessment of research, for example, in the monitor of research, and all the communities that are related, organizations involved, etc. So this is an example of what it means being compatible and the kind of information that are available. I don't see anybody, so if there's something in the chat. Alban.
Yeah, thank you. Just a few words. Thank you for your presentation and all the community calls before. I really enjoy them in general. And just to mention it, I find the statistics page on the new website, Graph OpenAIRE, really interesting, but results do not display yet. I talk about growth over time. It's something I've done myself, and I really find it useful, but just expect it will appear soon.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. That definitely should appear. So thank you for pointing that out, because there must be a bug. We've had that happen once before. Yeah, we've had that happen once before, where just out of nowhere they stopped showing, and then all I had to do was I made no changes, just saved the page again, and then everything started working. So thank you. I'll go and look into that following the call.
No problem. And no, I don't have any question really. Just to point, it's really a huge work you made in this last year, but it's also a big work for people from communities to make their metadata available on OpenAIRE Graph. So still some work to do on myself, on my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Alban.
Yeah, thank you. Check the document if we had any other questions in there. And again, if you do think of something following the call, feel free to reach out to us via any of our platforms. We have the Graph website, and through the website you can also reach out to us via our help desk, the user forum, and our social media channels, now plural. Yeah, Twitter, Mastodon, and Blue Sky, and I'll link those all here. And again, the new channels, Mastodon and Blue Sky, were created just this week. So at the moment, there's nothing there, but we will start posting on it in the coming days and next week. And yes, please, thank you, Alban. We really encourage everyone to use the user forum, because again, it's a great opportunity to have a discussion with us, but also each other among the community, which can be really helpful. So I'll link those all here now.
Hey, last question for you. Anyone a wish for 2025? A topic to discuss in a community call, a clarification on something, a training on something specific. Yeah, if you have requests, we are happy. The release of the new API. Okay. So I don't know what you mean, but do you answer to Alane Novosel? Is it someone that asked the question that we missed? Yeah, so the release of the API is coming is upcoming, but really we expected any wouldn't say any day now, but almost. Did we miss a question by Alane Novosel?
I don't have anything in the Q&As.
Okay, but in any case, oh, Teresa is in the chat.
Yep, thank you so much. It is just a thought. Is there possibly something one can do to make it easier for organizations who don't have APIs to send all their information to OpenAIRE Graph to do that? For instance, I work at Umeå University in Sweden, and we have certainly a national CRIS system, but the information that is there is not present in OpenAIRE Graph. And at the moment, we do not know how to get it there. That might perhaps be a topic worthwhile to discuss. It's not an easy topic. It's just a thought. Thank you.
We'll take the message and we'll try. Maybe not in the near future, but we can. Please. Thank you, Teresa. And sorry, Alane, we missed your question. I found it. I understand. Yes. We don't have Thanasis here that was following the API's release, but we'll make sure that we'll be in touch with you, so that you know. But the release is really coming. The plan was to have it this month. So in any case, we'll reach out to let you know. Thank you, and thank you for your patience. Okay. Anyone else? Otherwise, we thank you so much for participating. And I guess, Alana, we can close a bit earlier.
Yes, of course. And again, as said, if you do think of something later on, feel free to reach out to us via any of the previously mentioned channels, and we'll follow up sending the recording as well as the presentation slides, which also include links once those are ready. Well, the recording, of course, the presentation is ready once everything is uploaded on YouTube and everything. So thank you again so much, everyone, for joining and for your feedback and questions. Happy 2025 together.
Thank you all. Happy 2025. Bye.